2 o'clock in the afternoon, Greenwich Street, Manhattan. Another normal day. I came here to meet Gabrielle Roth and to take part in her 5Rhythms workshop.
And then we'll do still.
I encountered the method about a year ago, and after I experienced it, I knew inside that this was a powerful tool for change.
And down.
The 5Rhythms method, a movement method, is open to anyone and everyone. The dance is comprised of 5 main rhythms. Through the dance, difficulties and obstructions in life can be identified and ultimately released. The sequence of the rhythms creates a wave that allows the dancer to reach a point of inner stillness.
There are 5 levels of the dance, and the first level of the dance is unconsciousness. It's the wallflower, it's the people who say, I can't, I don't want to, I don't do it. The second level of the dance is to be totally self-conscious. Like, I'm dancing, watch. To do with chaos. It's where we fall deeply into the intuitive dance, to live as it is meant to. And then out of that we emerge into the 4th level of the dance. So that would be the intuitive dancer to the imaginative dancer. We start to reach out in a communicative and lyrical and imaginative way. The 5th level of the dance would be to be swept away in the inspiration of it all, to be in the ecstatic, to be in the disappeared, and to be just the dance. How do you shape stillness with your feet? There's mental inertia, my favorite, which is a whole bunch of philosophies and attitudes and beliefs about yourself, about other people, about the world we live in, about groups of people. This all must go. And we have to consider the 5 rhythms as a vacuum. And it is meant to clean us out of all the past, of everything that is unnecessary to being a spirited breath in the moment.
Gabrielle Roth is known by many as the urban shaman, a title she acquired due to the unique combination of ritual treatment work and the fact that for the past 20 years she has been living and working in New York.
We begin every time we dance to let something go as we're cracking open the field.
Gabrielle's studio is located in the Urban Zen Center, Donna Karen's studio, which is used as a spiritual and cultural community center. Here, the 5Rhythms workshops take place.
We have to trust that if there's any truth inside, it will stay because it will have nowhere to go but be. I think my path and my past started when I was about 16. I was a dancer. The only thing I knew how to do was dance. So I put myself through the university, working with all kinds of disenfranchised people, all the fringe people in my culture, like elders and kids and people in recovery centers, and my job was to get things moving. I didn't have any theories or philosophies. I hadn't studied enough to know anything at all, except that I could see when people were stuck, and I and I wanted from my heart to help them to move. And by moving, everything began to change.
And then we'll do chaotic feet.
The universe just was speaking to me in rhythms, and I began speaking back to people in rhythms, and they began to feed back that information to me visually. And there was some, amazing grace going on there.
I had the good fortune of meeting Francesca when I was very young. We married when I was 20. We had a very happy life and waited about 9 years before we had our first son. And Giordano was a very easy birth. He was born by midwives, and everything was very simple. And we waited a few years, and then we had Juliana. And for Juliana, our experience was totally different. Julie was born with lots of different problems.
Having Juliana was life-changing, and she spent a great deal of time with doctors in the hospital and just, kind of back and forth. And we had to keep finding things to make things peaceful again, because it was very uprooting and very difficult to process the constant hospitalizations and testing and things. So we started to investigate in the kind of arena of alternative health, and meditation was very strong.
We began doing more yoga, becoming aware of how we could help ourselves so that we'd be there for her to help her. And eventually led us to the practice, to Gabrielle's work in the 5 Rhythms.
So when Peter found the practice, Gabrielle's work, it was only natural, that it did so much for him, and he kept saying to us, we're going to love this work, and we really did fall in love with the work. And having the practice means that we can always go and fall into the movement, and the rhythms help us to process those emotions quickly and have them dissipate.
2 years ago, when I was 31 years old, I was diagnosed with breast cancer. I ended up having to get a double mastectomy, and I had to undergo chemotherapy. Going through cancer is extremely taxing, and when you're going through the diagnosis, through the treatment, you're focused very much on getting better. And there's very few avenues for you to have that emotional release, to really focus on yourself. And instead of me moving around and trying to keep my body active, I think I sort of gave into it and became sedentary, or used medication to manage the physical symptoms. And looking back now, I definitely wish that I had had an opportunity to try an alternative way of dealing with some of this physical discomfort.
I really love to dance, so I wasn't able to do that much physical activity due to my physical condition and being limited to how much my body could endure. So when I would go to dance. I did a little bit of yoga here and there, but I didn't do anything too much. My body has developed its own intuition and its own means of communicating with me on a higher level. So the practice has led me to communicate deeper with myself and with my body, and has allowed me to listen, to really be in my body, and to listen to when I need to listen to it the most.
Every process in life fluctuates between 5 rhythms. The awareness of each one individually, and all of them in sequence, is a powerful tool in understanding the process of the human spirit.
The 5 rhythms came to me, each one individually. Like first I found flowing. I could see that people quite often betrayed the flow of their own energy. And I understood that I betrayed the flow of my own energy.
Flowing, the female rhythmic energy of Mother Earth. This rhythm connects us to our natural flow and the undiscovered potential embodied within us. As we practice the dance for a sustained period of time, we learn to operate from within our own movement center.
Eventually I began to see that we didn't remember how to say yes or no fully. and with dignity, and that, and I began to discover staccato, or a more focused form of movement.
Staccato, the male rhythmic energy. This is a sharp, fast energy that places us in a world where we traverse between thought and movement, sensations and their expressions.
In my early 20s, I just wanted to dance, and I saw this gypsy dancer, La Chunga, in Spain, and she was so wild and so free and so passionate. And I felt her anger, and I felt her sorrow, and I felt her joy, and I felt her compassion. I felt everything about her in her dance, and I thought, I want to dance like that. I want to dance fully and totally. I want to give myself up totally. I want to surrender. I want freedom. I want freedom from all this stuff I'm carrying. That brought me to chaos.
Chaos, the unification of male and female energy of the first two rhythms. This is the rhythm that allows us to lose control, let go of judgment, and welcome the unknown.
Beat-driven, that came from inside out, that could never be choreographed, could never be repeated. That was a wild dance, but it had deep roots. It had light roots. It had roots that went back to zero. And that those roots held me while I flew. And eventually, having done enough of that, I arrived in this exquisite, very trance-like space of lyrical, where I felt lightened up. In that dance, I could feel patterns coming through, like a language, like the language of my soul. That's right.
Lyrical, nimble, gliding, a harmonious flow after touching the deepest and most painful places within.
Lyrical is vast. Each one of these rhythms is like a vast world of energy. And from that space, I began to find this really deep stillness.
Use the lyrical to leap into the stillness, to dive into it in some unpredictable way.
This place where everything is inside out and upside down, where it's, you're so still, you're electrified in your own movement, or you're moving in an electrified stillness, and there's no separation, that there's a dissolution of all the contraries, that there's this place of where everything becomes one.
Move so you don't know what's going to happen. Surprise yourself and stick with the song. Mark? Yes, good. Yes.
Stillness, the rhythm of inner peace, leading to meditation in movement.
In the dance, it's like in the dance everything can shatter, and then it kind of reassembles itself into a new being. Wherever you are, hold it, hold it. It takes a while to really hear what I'm saying. I know it does. You can do a practice for 2-3 years and still have, what the earth is she talking about? And we have been so trained to think of it coming down. Like all the good shit was up and all the bad shit was down. It's in our language, it's in our religions, it's everywhere. Well, reverse the philosophy usually and you will find some idea of truth, not necessarily truth.
How does it work? How do you get this sense of freedom?
The 5Rhythms is a form of movement meditation that allows you to listen to what is in your heart, to what is in your body. You focus on your feet in flow. You really get grounded. You're taking in information from everywhere. How is my skin? What is my body temperature? What's my pulse like? How am I breathing? All of these questions that your body's information is telling you. It's a way to process all of that. And then in staccato, you become aware of that information and what are you going to do with it? This is good for me. This is not good for me. Yes or no. Juliana's had 9 surgeries, 9 major surgeries. And her last one was the most intense. And yet she handled it with such grace, you know. And I can only attribute that to the practice. And she was still in recovery when the doctor came to her and said, we need to cut you open and do major heart surgery. And Juliana took a breath and had the presence to say, I take it in. When will we do this? What's going to happen? This is very staccato. She took that information, she absorbed it, she made a decision, and then she went through the chaos of having that done. There is no other way for me to explain that.
Juliana, how do you go through this intimate experience with mom and dad?
Most of my peers in their 20s, they go, what is that like? What is that like to dance with your parents? But this is a different type of dance. This is not the type of dancing you do at a party. This is very intimate, emotional. And I think what has happened is that for me, it's improved my relationship with both my mother and my father. And it's helped me to develop this communication with them.
We can have our anger dance. She can dance her anger. I can dance my anger. We can dance our frustration. We can dance and be sad and not feel like we need to fix each other.
And relax. What has become very clear to me is that God is the dance. God is the only thing nobody's figured out, and so therefore probably is that source that has just kept moving through it all, regardless of philosophies or theories or whatever's. It just keeps fluidly flowing and evolving and changing. As soon as I started to really get people deeply into the dance and into their bodies, all of us began to feel all kinds of things that we had never felt, that we had decided we would never feel, that we, in fact, thought we didn't feel. And then all this deceit began to come up, all this pretense began to be unmasked, all this real fear, the fear of fear, the fear of anger, the fear of sorrow, the fear of joy, the very scared of joy. Because if we get too happy, somebody's going to be a buzz killer and like shoot us down. Yeah, it's so amazing how much of the time we're in control and how frightened we are being out of control. What I love about this practice is that I can bring anything into it, that I don't have to be feeling good or up or open, that I can come into a room full of people and feel completely shut down. That's the whole thing about this practice, is really accepting how we feel, allowing that to be part of the dance, and seeing where it takes us.
How can you tell when you see somebody what's going on inside?
Well, the body can't lie. Like the ego can have all kinds of opinions and theories and beliefs about itself, but the body itself can't lie. I just pay attention and I keep following, and if I stay one step ahead of you, then I can say, let your head go, or it's always something simple. Inside of every person, there is a broken-hearted child. There's also a wild teenager and an incredibly wise elder. And I just call upon those 3 parts of us to move. And those are the parts that begin to create the healing for each of us. Dunk all lines and boundaries and jump off the edge of the self into this freestyle world of chaos and just really have a good time being a person, being alive.
Usually you never start from this point, but her work is a really good example of how to stop the mind, because part of her work requires you to have total commitment and dedication to the moment. And so you cannot be, thinking about your problems of the day. So you take your mind off your problems. And just by doing that alone and coming back, and you can find a solution, because your mind is no longer in a circular thinking process.
I am meeting Hans Lee in his apartment overlooking Central Park. His colorfulness is reflected in everything. Hans is an architect, an artist who lives and breathes art. He allows us a quick peek at an extraordinary harmony.
These are all the drawings and investigations I did for Gabrielle to illustrate her book, what she calls icons. Doubt, I know it, let's go, the blind leading the blind. My first degree is in psychology, and I have a very basic interest in the human psyche. When I came to America, I heard the word psychology for the first time. It was never mentioned, me growing up in Hong Kong for 17 years. It was just not part of the culture and part of the education. And so I feel myself being a stranger and being very much alone. And when I feel alone, I tend to hide. I tend to dance in the corner by myself. And I think, one of the greatest mistake that I have made in the beginning of this work is really about me. I was always thinking about how I feel in that moment, what I need and what I need to do. But then again, I realized there are so many people around me, they also have their needs. And the group itself has a need. So the world is much richer, when it goes beyond the self and, integrate other people into part of your world and share your world with other people as well. This is a catalog I did for a show here in New York called Sauka Wilderness of the Heart. It's about how the ancient civilization uses stone to express spirituality. And very much, part of that ancient world is expressed through the stonework. I really learn a lot from difficult times. Those are difficult times in which you can kind of confront adversity, just stay on the practice. Humankind have that ability to survive, and it really bringing out that basic survival instinct that you keep on doing that practice, because knowing that it will take you out of that hole that you're in now.
Miracle feet. The rhythms are very deep teachers. When you look at a place, you see a rhythm. If you go to Hawaii, you see stillness, or you see lyrical. If you go to New York City, you see chaos. So every place has a rhythm, and I always feel like if I connect to that rhythm, if I listen to that rhythm, if I move with that rhythm, then I have made my relationship to place. And then you start to move through all the people in that place and meet the people in that place. And they're going to be a variety of rhythms, but they're also being held by this undercurrent of some kind of rhythm, and rhythm is our mother tongue.
So that's one kind of rhythm, And it's a very sensual drum to play because I play her on my knee. And the vibration of this drum, when I'm playing it, goes all the way through me.
When Robert and Gabrielle first met, Robert was still an eminent lawyer. Since then, he has abandoned everything, and today he manages the moving center and serves as the drummer who leads the rhythm of the feet.
It's funny, one time Sangha says to me, "Do you see that beautiful woman in the room dancing?" I said, "No, what did her feet look like?" We just have different rhythms. I'm very staccato. She's very flowing on the edge of stillness. So rather than make her wrong for her rhythm, or rather than her making me wrong for my rhythm, we recognize it's just different. And in fact, I have a lot to learn about flowing from Gabrielle, and she has a lot to learn about staccato from me.
our body has been a source of pain, a source of stress, a source of disease. So this is an opportunity for us to have our body be a source of pleasure, to be comfortable with our body, to really kind of rediscover our body. And for many of us, we had to rediscover a new body.
And sometimes, in a very quiet moment, you sense that there is actually more than what meets the eye. And sometimes when you move across the room, you kind of go, ooh, what's that, you know? And there's nobody around in that particular corner, but there's something there. And if you have the courage, you work with that.
I was 52 before I started to dance, and I'm 60 now. In a lot of ways, I always thought my life was very complete. But this practice really gave me myself back, helped me to be more aware, much more alive, much more engaged, not only with myself, but with everyone I meet.
Dance is an art form. So one has to drop all feelings and thoughts that one has about dancing and move to movement. Movement is a life form. And to begin to move from wherever you actually are. Let's say you have very low energy, so you move low energy. Let's say you feel aggressive, so you move aggressive. It's like to give permission to dance however you're actually feeling. If you feel like moving on the floor, you move on the floor. Anybody is capable of connecting with that teenage part of themselves, putting the music on quite loud and just letting go. Everybody has the same opportunity to let go. Because movement is the key to life. It's the key to breath. And the faster and deeper you move, the faster and the deeper you'll breathe. We start to be reinvented and recycled and re-energized, and we just feel better. And anybody can do it right now, wherever they are. Don't need music, don't need to know anything, don't need to have anything, don't need any special clothes. All we need is the permission to be real and to let it move.
I leave here with a deeper understanding of how all that is in me is a heartbeat of energy, which unites me with everything beating around me.
Thank you.
The people, the city, and the winds. Simply dance.